Only on CBS This Morning, we have an in-studio look at the last privately owned painting by Leonardo da Vinci. The portrait is called Salvator Mundi. By Leonardo da Vinci. The portrait is called Salvator Mundi, which means savior of the world in Latin. It was created about 500 years ago and was thought to have been destroyed. Savior of the world in Latin. It was created about 500 years ago and was thought to have been destroyed.
The painting was long mistaken for a copy of the artist's work because it was heavily painted over. Its restoration makes it one of about 15 known surviving paintings by the renowned artist.
And there's more. Christie's Auction House is selling this painting this month in New York City. It's expected to go for, listen to this, $100 million. Bidding, they say, will start at $70 million. Alan Wintermute is Christie's senior specialist for old master paintings. He joins us now with Salvator Mundi. Good morning, Alan.
Good morning.
Sort of nerve-wracking standing here because you don't accidentally hit it. But it's considered the Holy Grail because?
Well, it was long known to have existed, but it was known through copies and there are drawings for it by Leonardo in Windsor Castle, but it had been completely obscured by paint, as you said, and it was sort of hidden in public view. I mean, it was in private collections, but you couldn't see really almost any of the surface, and it was thought to have been lost.
Any serious questions about its authenticity?
None, really. It was, as I said, almost completely overpainted, but once that was removed after its rediscovery, the quality of it became very evident.
Nerve-wracking standing here because you don't accidentally hit it.
The quality of it became very evident, and really there hasn't been any real question about it.
Leonardo didn't finish.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, we move to the Leonardo da Vinci, the Salvator Mundi, the masterpiece by Leonardo of Christ the Saviour, previously in the collections of three kings of England: King Charles I, King Charles II, and King James II.
Symbols are a language that can help us understand our past.
Professor Harry.
Demons, omens, codes, monks. Da Vinci.
I'm into something here that I cannot understand.
We are in the middle of a war, one that's been going on forever. To protect a secret so powerful, that if revealed, it would devastate the very foundations of mankind.
That's Illuminati. The Illuminati were a secret society dedicated to scientific truth. The Catholic Church ordered a brutal massacre to silence them forever. They've come for their revenge.
May God forgive you for what you've done.
Father, if God has issues, they won't be with what we've done. They'll be with what we're about to do.
Professor, you are having visions, aren't you? The people behind this would do anything to protect the truth. You have no idea what they're capable of.
What am I offered here? Let's open this at 70, 70, 75, at 75 million. 75 million, at 75 million. Alan, 80 million, 85 million. 90 million is bid and selling at 90 million. At 90 million. And looking for 95. At 90 currently with Alan. At 90 million. 95. 95 and I go 110 over here. 110. I have it at 110 million. Who will give me 120? $110 I have. 120 is bid for the Leonardo. Give me 200. 190 is bid. Who? 200 million is bid. At 200 million. At 200 million. 200 million, please. 200 million is bid. At 200 million, looking for 210. Sir, are you coming back in? I sense you might be. 200 million against you on the far left. 235 million going on. At 235 million now. 235 back to Francois, our specialist in the Old Master Paintings department. Will you give me 290, Alex? 300. I thought so. 300 million. 3 million and 302 million rather. 302 million is bid. 302. 35 would be next, please. Give me 305 million. For those of you following online, you may not have heard it. The bid was 350 was called on the telephone. At 350 million for Leonardo Salvator Mundi. At 350 million. Here at Christie's, at 350 million, and looking for another bid, please, Francois. At 350. 370 million. Back to Francois' client. At $370 million, ladies and gentlemen. 400 million. $400 million is the bid. Here in the sale room at $400 million with Alex Rotter. The bid is here at $400 million. For the Salvator Mundi at $400 million. Francois is out. Are you sure, Francois? At 400 million then. Thank you all for your bidding here and on the telephone to my left. And of course here, Loic and Francois. It is with Alex Rotter at 400 million. Leonardo Salvator Mundi selling here at Christie's. $400 million is the bid, and the piece is sold.
The buyer was apparently a cool customer on the phone during the auction.
The buyer was rather calm for bidding this kind of money.
New reports suggest that the Saudi Arabia's crown prince is the mysterious buyer of a rare Leonardo da Vinci painting, the Salvator Mundi painting set in our studio before it was sold at auction. We love having this video for a record $450 million. It was a very special day, I have to say, when it was here in the studio in the corner. The Wall Street Journal reports that Prince Mohammed bin Salman used a proxy to buy the masterpiece.
Rumors are swirling that a historic secret meeting has just gone down in Israel between the Israeli government and the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia.
A visit like this from Saudi royalty is obviously a big deal, considering the two countries have no official relations. Though Saudi Arabia has never actively been involved in any previous wars against Israel, the country has heavily aligned itself with the Palestinians and has actively pushed for Israel's withdrawal from the West Bank. The rumors have ignited harsh criticism from the Arab world, who have condemned the Saudis for allegedly meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu himself and discussing security ties between the two countries. While there have always been rumors of secret ties between Israel and Saudi Arabia for isolated economic and military operations, a visit from the crowned prince on Israeli soil would mean a significant upgrade is already underway.
Struggle against Iran, you have made some unlikely allies. There is a kind of a tacit alliance between the major, what are called the moderate Arab states, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and others with Israel. Is that an awkward situation to be in, given that Saudi Arabia is an Islamic state? It practices many of the forms of Islam that people regard as highly puritanical, quasi-medieval, even medieval. They chop people's heads off. They chop hands off. They have laws about blasphemy and apostasy. Not a lot of churches in Saudi Arabia, certainly no synagogues. How comfortable are you with that tacit alliance?
I see the world as it is, not as I'd like it to be only, or not as we remember it nostalgically, and I work from that premise. I think Saudi Arabia recognizes today that it needs a path to reform as well, and they see, as do many in the Arab world, that they see Israel as an ally rather than as an enemy because of the two principal threats that threaten them. The first is Iran, and the second is Daesh. If you're closer to the Persian Gulf, Iran comes first. If you move to North Africa, to Egypt, Daesh comes first. But there's always the second. And so when they look around and they say, well, who can help us in this battle that threatens our very future? Obviously, Israel and these Sunni Arab states are not on opposite sides, and that's natural. That, I think, tells you there's a bigger story. I said this yesterday. I went to, with my wife to a dinner, the opening dinner here, and I met some of our European friends, including members of the EU. And I said, look, I have one request, that the EU policy shaped in Brussels, not the individual European countries, but the EU policy vis-a-vis Israel and the Palestinians merely reflect now the prevailing Arab policy to Israel and the Palestinians. There is a great shift taking place, and it might be. We used to think that if we solved the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, it would solve the larger Israeli-Arab conflict. The more I look at it, the more I think it may be the other way around.
Also during that day, Saad al-Hariri signed the assignment of a new Lebanese ambassador to Syria. That was a shocker for me, I'll be very honest with you, because he was very vocal about not doing that, but he then ended up doing it. So just after that, and I'm not saying it's linked, I'm just saying what happened. After that, he was summoned directly back to Saudi Arabia. That is 24 hours after he returned to Lebanon. He was summoned with a degree of urgency. So he left Lebanon urgently, and he only was allowed to have a few number, which are counted on one hand, of bodyguards. That's how urgent that was. So he left Lebanon. I am pretty sure he had no idea what he was going or putting himself into, but he left on the matter of urgency. And on Saturday, approximately midday, we started hearing about breaking news saying that Saad al-Hariri, the Prime Minister of Lebanon, has resigned in a recorded video from Saudi Arabia on the channel, on the official channel of Al Saud, which is Al Arabiya channel. At first, we thought it was a joke, to be honest, because we were shocked, because there was no evidence that something was wrong with the government. There was no evidence, whether from him or from his rivals, for that matter, that there was something going on, politically speaking, inside of Lebanon that would hint to a resignation. Not at all. And we will talk about that as well. But what happened after that is what's much more interesting. The resignation of Saad al-Hariri was I remember very well, because I was prepared to go out and my day was wrecked because I had to go to work, back to work. So it was a Saturday. It was around 1 p.m. Beirut time. And we heard that. And just 2 hours later, breaking news about the arrest and the detention of 11 very important princes and more than 20 senior figures that were arrested by Mohammed bin Salman, on the orders of Mohammed bin Salman. And later on, an hour later, it was broadcasted, or it was announced that, of course, via Twitter. All of this is via Twitter because we cannot get anything from any media channel. So via Twitter, it was announced that the Ritz-Carlton is actually the new prison. And we knew that only because of the memo that was sent out by the Ritz-Carlton to the actual guests there, asking them politely to leave. So there we go. It was, and the memo said that it was a matter of national security and an urgent matter by the government that we need you, we ask of you to leave. So we're talking about a 5 or maybe 7 class star hotel that is very, very luxurious, that actually hosted the Donald Trump summit that happened I think it was 2 months or so ago, but it was midsummer. And so it's that, and it's the same hotel. We'll talk about that too. It's the same hotel that Mohammed bin Salman had hosted the convention about the technology. We all heard about Sophia, the robot who was given the Saudi nationality.
Here is the Saudi Arabian robot. Notice she doesn't have to wear a veil, though. Corrupt Saudi Arabian barons with their harems and the rest of it, sitting laughing, going, look, we build a female like we are God, and she does what we say, and we say she's a citizen now. And they buy it. Funny. Let's go back. Of course, it's in our image, stealing our image, as usual. Let's go back to it. Stop. This is beyond cultural appropriation. It's the enemy, and that's why I want to launch a worldwide movement of a symbol with a human with a club smashing a robot's head in. Because they are the programmed armies of the globalists. They are the enemy. That is the abomination. That is the Antichrist right there. Excuse me. Let's go back to it. Let's go back to it. Here we go.
Just go back to Blade.
Because parasites always hate the host. Well, I got news for you, scumbags. You're losing on every front, and it's beautiful. You push too hard, and the wheels came off. You're done. Stay with us.
Technology, we all heard about Sophia, the robot who was given the Saudi nationality, and we heard about the new city, the new intelligent city that bin Salman wants to build, which is Neom. That it was hosted just days before in that hotel, in the Ritz-Carlton. And we started linking the manner that bin Salman was able to arrest all of these princes at once, meaning that they were in the country all together because of that convention. He did that convention to bring all the local and international and regional investors into the country to come watch what the new investments in Saudi Arabia for his 2030 plan is for this new Neom city, smart city, which, by the way, Al-Walid bin Talal refused to invest in, which is also a big question mark. Why would he refuse? So that happened. 2 days later, everybody goes back to the Ritz-Carlton, but as detainees, which is shocking. Now, after that, we started hearing about deaths, about fire, exchange of fire. We had Fahd bin Abdullah dying. When Fahd bin Abdullah, I'd like to remind everyone, because I'm saying a lot of names and it might be a bit complicated for people who don't know about the royal family. I still sometimes confuse them. But the thing is, we know very much Fahd bin Abdullah because he is Saad al-Hariri's best friend since they were very young. They used to go to the pubs together. They used to go to everywhere around the world with the yacht and, you know, the luxurious lives of the prince. He was there with him. And every investment that Saad al-Hariri has made, Fahd bin Abdullah was part of that investment. So Fahd bin Abdullah was about to get detained, and there was exchange of fire at the entrance of his gate at the palace, where he got shot. He went to the hospital. 2 days later, he's dead. He's announced dead. There you go. And then later on, you have the helicopter that was downed at the border area between Saudi Arabia and Yemen, which had on it a prince and several other ministerial and senior figures in the area of Asir. And the area of Asir is the area bordering Yemen. It's on the southern part of Saudi Arabia. A downing of a plane. Exact next day, which was yesterday, Haaretz issues a huge report. The Israeli Haaretz newspaper issues a huge report and says it was Saudi war jets that downed that helicopter because that prince was trying to flee the country. So if that's not a purge, I don't know what we can call it. These princes were offered to close all their corruption files in return for their full allegiance to Mohammed bin Salman becoming the crown, the king. King of Saudi Arabia, and they all refused, especially Mit'ab, Walid bin Talal, and a third one who I can't get to memorize his name because it's too long. So these three main princes refused. The others are refusing. The senior figures, businessmen and officials refusing. And because of that, a new wave of arresting and detentions have taken place over the past few hours as well.